New rules come into force today to protect children online. Websites and apps containing pornography will be required to carry out age checks, and all online platforms will have to prevent children from being exposed to harmful content.
The changes are being introduced under the Online Safety Act and will be enforced by the regulator OfCom. Our correspondent, Angus Crawford, has the details.
So if I try and get into this for the under 18s then?
Facial recognition software in action. And yes, that's the Technology Secretary, Peter Kyle, testing the system earlier this year.
Now it's asking to see my face.
From today, just one of the things some platforms may need in place to protect children.
Children and parents will notice a difference, and that is a big step forward. So I'm celebrating that big step forward. It's not a panacea. It's not going to be 100% effective 100% of the time, but it is a big, meaningful step forward.
New powers for OfCom to impose fines or take court action. New duties for the companies, including effective age checks on porn sites, robust systems to filter out harmful content, blocking dangerous stunts and challenges. These pupils were invited to meet the minister. Do they feel safe online?
If there's like a fight at school, people like film it and it gets shared around, and it just really shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I don't think people should be like filming other people getting hurt and bullied, and yeah.
Kind of like concerning, like I shouldn't be watching this, kind of like scroll past, report it. It's just not very like nice to see.
Molly Russell was just 14 when she ended her life, bombarded by a stream of dark, depressing posts on social media.
I don't want to see it anymore.
My youngest daughter died.
Her father, Ian, became a vocal campaigner for change.
The corporate culture at these platforms needs to change.
Public anger at the power of big tech led politicians to promise reform.
What we're doing is ensuring that we crack down on companies that promote illegal and dangerous content.
The Online Safety Act was meant to rein in Silicon Valley, but it took years and 4 prime ministers until finally becoming law in 2023. Regulator Ofcom had 18 months to draw up detailed rules, but not everyone is convinced they're tough enough.
Got to the hospital.
Liam Walsh says his daughter Maya was exposed to things she should never have seen.
I think I would be forgiven for having no faith. So let's see what Ofcom do. I really want them to work. I'm standing on the side cheering for them to work, and I really want them to work. But I'm not sure if they are.
Ofcom believes the Act makes all children safer. Critics fear it's still too weak to bring big tech to heel. Angus Crawford, BBC News.
Let's speak now to Ellen Room, who's been campaigning for online safety since the death of her son, Jules. Morning to you,
Morning.
Ellen. Also, we have with us Chief Executive of Ofcom, Dame Melanie Dawes. We appreciate your time this morning as well. And can we start with you? It's such an important moment in time, this, given the campaigning you've done, what's happened to your family. What are you feeling today about what you're hearing and maybe what you're seeing in practice about whether something has changed?
I think it's always good there are improvements and it's helpful for children, but there's still some gaps where children still have access to various things which I think are still harmful. And I think they could be tightened to make sure that children, for example, on social media that have got fake ages, you know, how are we going to regulate the ones that they think they're 18 plus on social media, looking at various things that are harmful? That sort of area hasn't been tightened up yet.
I thought there was some hint that there might be facial recognition in terms of age verification and age verification you can put in any age you want, we know that's the issue, but some technology being used to try to address that.
I was researching that today because I couldn't work out whether that applies to social media companies. So are they going to age verification? Can't say it.
Age verify.
Thank you. Yeah, for 13-year-olds, or what happens if they log on at 13? Do they have to prove they're 13? I wasn't quite clear, so maybe Melanie can...
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if you're not clear, let's find out from Dame Melanie Dawes. Do you want to just address that one first of all? That question was being asked.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, thanks for having me on this morning. It's an important moment. So the first thing to say is today is about these checks at aged 18. so that under 18s can't have access to pornography, suicide and self-harm material, extreme violence in the way that has been absolutely widespread and normalised over the last 2 or 3 decades. So that's the first thing. And we've secured commitments from 6,000 porn companies, including the top 10 that are most used in the UK, and also the likes of X, Discord, Reddit, Telegram, a number of others, to introduce those age checks from this morning. And we're going to be checking that they work. That's absolutely critical. When it comes to the age 13 question that Ellen was asking, that's one of the things we're going to be looking at next, because there are wider protections that social media and other services need to put in place now for kids as well, making sure that their algorithms are tamed so that they're not viral, they don't push dangerous challenges, violent content, misogyny, that kind of harmful content for children that I could hear the teenagers you were speaking to earlier also mentioning. That now is the next step for these companies. We need to see plans and action by the 30th of September on all of that. And part of that will be making sure that younger users below the minimum ages are not on those platforms. If they are, companies will have to design their system around them, the youngest children of all. And I don't think they want to do that.
So from September, it would be you have to prove your age for social media. Is that what you're saying?
So most companies, most social media companies have that minimum age of 13. And we know, and you know, Ellen's absolutely right about this, there's been no verification. It's just been asking you your age, which is not a test that we recognise at OfCom as being acceptable. Now, look, the rules don't allow us to enforce that minimum age at 13, but what we have done is say to companies, if you've not got proper age checks in at 13 or whatever your minimum age is, then you need to assume that you've got younger kids on your platform as well. And that means you're going to need to design your service for the very youngest children of primary school age. And clearly, social media would not be appropriate for that age group. So there are strong incentives in the system here, which we are now going to be checking for social media to get this right.
Dame Melanie Dawes, morning, it's Naga here. I don't understand what's different in terms of what the social media companies are obliged to do. They should have already assumed that younger people had access to their sites and might be on their sites. They should,
well,
they already had to have, age. You had to put your age in. Of course, that's not a secure age verification or, a stable age verification. I don't really understand what's different.
Well, look, you're absolutely right, Naga. This is the point, that we've had social media now for 20 years that has been age blind. They've put in checks that aren't effective, and they've either relied on them or frankly not even really done anything much with them anyway. So this is part of the huge cultural change that we're now pushing through at OfCom.
What changes in September? Because they knew this. They knew they had inappropriate stuff on their sites for 13-year-olds, and it was still on there. So what changes?
Well, what changes is that we now have regulation. I mean, make no mistake, none of these changes, from the porn industry today, from X announcing what they were doing yesterday, none of this would be happening if it wasn't for the Online Safety Act and if it wasn't for the work that we've done as the regulator to get under the skin of the technology and put in place the right practical solutions, but also to show that we're ready to enforce. We have 11 investigations already open against individual companies, and that has been a wake-up call for the industry. I'm absolutely certain it's one of the reasons that we've seen what is quite good progress this morning from the porn industry, which no other country has managed to achieve. So, what's changing is that our government and Parliament has acted, and Ofcom is now following that through.
Alan, can I ask you, Dame Melanie Dawes said, we will be checking.
Yes.
Ofcom will be checking. Do you have confidence in that procedure?
As a group of bereaved parents, there's a whole load of us this morning that have been going onto various porn sites and still accessing them. And at 6 o'clock this morning, we were trying various sites. So I'm hoping that Ofcom will come down hard on them, and it's not going to be a slap on the wrist.
Just to be clear, when you say accessing them, you mean not being asked to be
It just says, are you 18? You don't have to do age verification.
OK.
So, look, it depends how companies are doing this. So some will be doing checks behind the scenes. They may already have information about you. Some of them may be using information from your emails, for example, which is a stronger form of verification than perhaps it looks, but that can work. But the acid test for Ofcom will be, does it work? So it will be, if you're under 18, can you get onto these sites or not? Just bear in mind that, up until now, there's been nothing. There's been no proper age checks at all. So now we are seeing, improvements being made, but we are absolutely determined as the regulator to drive them out in practice. Promises are not enough. And the cultural change in this industry and in the wider technology sector is so great that we're under no illusions about the task that we have to follow through here at OfCom.
May I ask, so today's the day that regulation comes in, that companies knew this day was coming. What happens to these companies who aren't doing it today? It's not like they haven't had any notice.
Correct.
Well, we have a list already of adult sites that we think are, not going to comply, and we'll be opening up a new enforcement programme towards the end of next week. So what do you do to them? What happens to them? We investigate what they've done, and we can fine them, as I think you know, we can fine them up to 10% of global turnover, global revenue, if they're not complying with the rules. So we've got the teeth, and we've already shown that we're prepared to use them. As I said, we have 11 companies already under investigation. There will be more next week, and you'll see us continue to do that in the months to come.
Sorry.
I was going to say, has anybody been fined yet? I mean, I know they're under investigation. Has anybody? I think wasn't TikTok fined at some point? Or...
We have fined. Yeah, last year we fined TikTok, and we also fined OnlyFans, an adult site, because they'd given us the wrong information and they hadn't followed our requests properly. So we've shown that we can do that. But for wider non-compliance, the consequences may well be more severe. When we're doing enforcement action like this, it's a bit like when the police open up a case. We've got to do our homework, we've got to get the facts. So it can take a little while, but even what we've done already has sent a signal across the industry, and I think that's why you're seeing it. Certainly what companies have told me is we know that you're going to enforce against our competitors if they don't follow the rules, and that's why we're going to introduce the changes.
Just looking at some of the comments those organisations have said, TikTok was mentioned a moment ago. They have said to us, this is their statement, we're introducing additional measures for the Online Safety Act, including enhanced deployment of age assurance technologies. Unlike, they say, most other large platforms we've been regulated by OfCom since 2020, have robust built-in safeguards that help teens safely discover and learn on TikTok.
We will be talking about this a lot more. I see your face, but we talk to you a lot, Ellen, about this. And
OfCom come down really hard, and Melanie, you've got a difficult job, but I really hope you enforce it and are strong with these companies.
Yeah, and as parents around the country are hoping for. And Dame Melanie Dawes, thank you very much. You've said that the intent is there, that the regulation is there, and that the powers are there. And we will keep holding you to account as well. So thank you, Dame Melanie Dawes, Chief Executive of OfCom. Ellen, it's always a pleasure talking to you here.
Thanks very much.
Ellen Rim, thank you.